Welcome to this video on MADM Academy. In this video, we're going to be creating a roadmap for your customer's online journey. So this is a really quick technique that you can use to get a quick understanding of the steps that people take as they interact with your business online. So the first thing we look at is how people can find you. How do people go from not knowing that you exist to finding you online? Or how do people know that you exist and then how do they find you online? So let's look at something like Google. So that could be a search, so it could be a Google search. Think about your business, or perhaps you're running a digital marketing campaign for another business. What are the sort of ways that people can first find your business? So we look at things like Google search, maybe an Instagram page that you've got. Other ways of doing it could be some ads perhaps that you're running. So maybe you're running some Google or Facebook ads. That would be another way that people can actually first interact with your business online. And we won't get too deep with this kind of stuff. Maybe just write 3 or 4 different ways that people can actually first interact with your business online. So whatever you're doing as a company, people need to be able to have like a first point of interaction with you. So how do you move somebody from being a potential customer or even somebody that doesn't necessarily know that your business exists through to actually becoming a paid customer and beyond? So when we look at beyond, what we're talking about really is being a really satisfied customer that can actually review, leave reviews and recommend and refer you to other people online as well. So we're really here looking at the touch points, the digital interactions that people can have with your business online. So the next big one is probably the website. So think about when we're looking for something online, quite often we'll open Google, won't we? Or maybe flick open Instagram, something similar. We'll have a little scroll through, we'll click on a web page, and most of the time that's going to take us through to a website. So websites themselves, there's a lot that can happen on a website. It isn't always just a single page that we interact with. Quite often we'll click onto multiple different pages, interact with that website in different ways. And a website itself should really have a process like this. In software development terms, it's quite often called the happy path. So developers will create a map like this called a happy path, which is essentially the way that they want users, people to interact with the software that they're creating. So it could be an app, it could be a website, it could be some software. It doesn't really matter what it is. The principle remains the same, that there are certain steps that you want people to be able to take as they interact with your software. And a website is exactly a piece of software, so it's no different here from any other bit of software that you might be creating. So your website itself wants to have its own path, but really that's not something we need to worry about too much in this session. We're really just mapping out the general steps that people can take as they interact with your business online. What about after the website? Quite often you might sign up to an email newsletter, so there that's another part of the journey. How are people moving from this left-hand part of the screen where we're sort of considering that they're perhaps thinking about buying from you, maybe they're still browsing, maybe they're still shopping, and they're moving through to over here somewhere on the right hand side of the screen where we're going to say like this is like the sale, after sale. So this is like the happy, the satisfied customer section over here on the right hand side. So this is kind of the map that we're creating. So after the email nurture campaign, maybe you actually want them to go back to your website. That is quite common. So if we just duplicate that over here. So what we're seeing here is like a bit of an example in terms of how people can interact with your business and move along this journey. What we start seeing happening is we see this sort of like process unfolding. So it's not about creating this super complex map that has to, take into account every single little step and interaction that somebody might have. Of course, eventually that's what we are going to be aiming for, but that is not something we need to concern ourselves with here. What we're really doing is just creating a general sort of map. So we're getting ideas, just about getting a good understanding. So let's say you've got a podcast that you run, that's quite popular these days. We can say a podcast, maybe a YouTube channel as well. And what you're probably thinking is actually, hang on a second, people do go from like left to right and back over here and around. Yeah, the thing is, people are going to bounce around. People are going to go to your website, they're going to go back to Facebook page, they're going to go back to YouTube, podcast. But really, it's just about getting a general idea of you know, the way that people interact with your business online. So what we're really doing here is, and you can always create, let's say, you know, 4 or 5 you know, different versions of this. There's no harm in that whatsoever. You know, you can create a few different versions of this map if you really think that's necessary. Then, you know, do this in 4 or 5 different ways. But really, for the most occasions, you don't need to do that. We just need to create one roadmap. So it starts over here, let's just say, with a Google search. Then the next thing that they do after a Google search is visit your website. After the website, they actually click on to visit your Instagram page. And this is just obviously an example. After the Instagram, they see that you've got a podcast. These are all interactions, touch points. Just remember, you know, you can swap these around and do them any way that you wish. The idea of this is actually to see the interactive steps that people can have. So what we're doing is we're highlighting and seeing what we need to do. So for my YouTube channel, for instance, rather than just seeing your YouTube channel as being something that's done in isolation, you know, what is the step that you want customers to take after? You know, if you've got a YouTube channel where you're sharing some valuable information, you know, you want to be making sure that you're actually linking there to your website. So from your YouTube through, again, to your website, and vice versa, from your podcast maybe to your YouTube, or your podcast to your Instagram, or, you know, your Google search is going to display your website. Your Facebook ads, for instance, what is the journey that somebody's going to take if they see your business for the first time as a result of a Facebook ad? What does the customer do then? What do you want them to do as the next step? So if you start thinking like this, you're going to start getting like a better understanding of the steps that people do take. So rather than seeing Facebook ads directly to email, for instance, you know, there's probably 2 or 3 steps that people are going to take between Facebook ads and email. They're probably going to go from a Facebook ad, let's say, to a website. Then what they're going to do is they're going to see your YouTube channel, for instance, just another example. Maybe they really like your YouTube channel. So what they're going to then do is they're going to go back to Instagram. Sorry, let's say go back to your website, for instance, or maybe they go from YouTube and click through to Instagram from there. I'm just going to move this down here. Then we go from the website, from Instagram again, back to the website. And then from the website, they go to email. And then, yeah, let's say that you're actually selling a product that you're selling as an e-commerce product on your site. That's right. You need them to go back onto your website as well. So this is where you go from having a customer who just, you know, is a potential lead at best, perhaps somebody who's never heard of you at worst, but really taking them through this process. And by doing this, you're creating your very own roadmap. So don't overthink this activity. Just get a pen and piece of paper, or open up something like Canva, and just jot out, you know, the rough map that people can take, and don't lose yourself too much in terms of the exact steps in the exact order, because, you know, the real world is that people are going to go and find their own path through. But what we are doing here is actually at least creating like a road for them to go along. So once we start breaking this down, and we'll look at that that in the next video as well, we can start identifying sort of weaknesses, obstacles, or hurdles that are actually costing us in terms of conversions. You know, if we've got a weak link somewhere here, we can actually start identifying where that is.